noted on the marshalled list?
My Lords, the premise behind this bill is that we need to help the organisers of the really big events put on a really good show and ensure that the country itself sweeps away those show stoppers. It recognises that putting on these events requires a national effort. Now, my amendment seeks to ensure that the organisers can be assured of an adequate supply of labour and human capital to make the Games or relevant tournament a success in the few weeks every decade that the circus rolls into town. And I'm reminded that sport is a game of chance. That's why we like it. It's what the uncertainty makes it so alluring. The favourite doesn't always win, and often there's an upset. That's the whole point. Now, especially in tournament play, a team's life can be measured in terms of hours in the case of the sort of stage one knockout, or weeks if you make it all the way to the final. My Lords, there are no guarantees in this game. Now, back in 2012, one of the key resources for the Olympics was labour. There were 70,000 games makers. The Minister for Sport at the time, Hugh Robertson, said the 70,000 games makers made such a big contribution to London 2012 and the country as a whole. They helped showcase a modern, diverse and fun Britain and warmly welcomed visitors from all over the world. Quite. But it wasn't just the unpaid volunteers and their 8 million hours of effort that made the Games so memorable. On top of that was an army of others who contributed to that success. Paid employees involved in broadcasting, catering, cleaning, merchandising, ticketing, security, bar work, selling ice cream, and so forth. Shall we say that about 150,000 people in total were engaged to make that event a success over a staggered month once the Paralympics were taken into account? It might even have been more. And we celebrate that, and indeed without their efforts there wouldn't have been a celebration at all. People worked around their normal lives to give what time they could, and it worked. The problem is that mobilising that sort of work today is now illegal. The Employment Rights Act ensures that the sort of work cannot be offered to people without a guarantee of the number of hours they will be engaged for. And, my Lords, that is incompatible with games of chance and luck. Of course, the government expects the organisers or other contractors to underwrite the guarantee for those people, the people selling beer, merchandise and ice cream. But as we know, not only the uncertainty of the game, but the British weather can get in the way, even if results go as expected. Who would sign up to such an open-ended liability? The government says they want to clear away all the uncertainty risks about the tournament coming to town. But let's be clear, the Employment Rights Act provisions add significant costs, financial and regulatory risks, and undermine the ability to flex the tournament as weather and results progress between the opening and closing ceremonies. So my amendment is intended to be helpful. These events happen so infrequently. They're obviously temporary. We know the hours can't be guaranteed in advance because that's the way of sport, and a core component of event delivery are people. Now, I want as many people as possible to take part in the delivery of tournaments, putting their shoulder to the wheel and bask in the reflected glory of success, not least so for the paying fans. The experience is everything they want, come to expect and are paid for. So my amendment is strictly reserved only to events within the scope of the bill. There's no compulsion to designate any event, although I note that other noble lords want to expand the scope of the bill. But to be summarised, I'm being helpful and realistic. I'm replacing chance with certainty for both organisers, participants and the fans. I'm offering the opportunity for people to serve, and we're reducing the risks of hosting and organising. My Lords, either the government wants to host these nation-building games or they don't. But without labour market flexibility for this sort of temporary events, it can't happen unless the organisers assume a level of risk that exists nowhere else in the world, which of course is a big disincentive to come to the United Kingdom. The truth is we don't need this bill after all. We have built the world's most admired annual league and a true national asset, which is, in the words of the Financial Times, the Premier League, without the provisions of these bills. But if the government wants to take it forward, and we do designate these events, then let's give them every chance of success, not hobble them with rules and regulations that will spoil the enjoyment and the pleasure of going to the game.
Here, here.